Greetings and welcome to my week's end ramblings. Last Sunday, we celebrated the feast of Christ the King. Because the feast of Christ the Priest is a Thursday just after Pentecost, it isn't always necessarily appropriate that we have a major parish gathering on that day, although we will look to doing that in the future. So last Sunday we had one parish mass at 11 o'clock. We had a reasonably good crowd, although sadly some people didn't stay afterwards. And in fact, maybe that was a little bit fortuitous because last year we had quite a lot of food left over. This year we had virtually nothing. But it all went very nicely, very tidily. Everybody seemed to enjoy what was going on. And then we managed to get cleaned up and tidied up in the hall. We left a couple of tables behind that we were going to collect on Monday morning, but that was all that was left. It was a very pleasant day. Later, I headed off to D'Angelo's with a couple of my priest friends, and we had a very pleasant meal on Sunday night. On Monday, I had my normal Nativity small group meeting, and that went well, followed by Mass and then a communion round. And I've added another couple of people to that round as it seems necessary as they get older. Tuesday was a busy day. I had a consultants meeting that went until just after, lunchtime, but it concluded right after lunch, so that was good. I then visited the lawyer to sign off the final paperwork for the estate of the late Father Phil McCormack, and so that was pretty good as well. I had a phone call earlier in the day regarding a friend who has been getting increasingly lower as his condition deteriorates. And so I went to visit him, and that was a trip to Molesworth. So that was a long day by the time I finished. On Wednesday morning, we had our normal Wednesday Mass, followed by a pastoral team meeting. Then my homily. Finally, was able to get some work on my homily this week. Thursday, I had a funeral at Graham Family Funeral Home, and it was good to be able to celebrate the funeral, but it was also good to be able to catch up with many people whom I'd known from my days in New Norfolk. That was a quiet afternoon, and I managed to get a bit more finished on my homily and my emails for this coming week. Friday morning, we didn't have a school mass, we just had a normal parish mass. And then I headed off to see a family about preparing for a funeral that will be celebrated next Friday. And then later I headed off to Moona or Lenna Valley area to do a house blessing for a couple whose wedding I'd celebrated with in April. This morning has been finishing off my homily, recording the homily, recording the emails for this coming week, and setting up the email distribution list. Then later I'll head off and do some work at the supermarket, as I have a few things coming up that I need to get onto, especially making the Christmas puddings for my family and friends this year. And then finally we have our end of month mass tonight, so mass for the first weekend of Advent, but it concludes our month of November. So that's been the week. It's been an interesting week, a challenging week, and we'll see how the next week goes. So until I catch you next week on my week's end ramblings, I hope you have a time to recreate, to refresh, and be ready for the season of Advent.